It's Whitney from the Holiday Homestead. We are starting a lot of stuff going on to get our property ready for sale. So we are having a new roof put on today on the house in California, and we're getting the estimates for for the well in Alaska. So lots of stuff is happening, and I wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit of our progress as far as taking down things. So basically, when we decided to move, this is a big jump for us for sure. And so what it means is we have to downsize quite a bit. And so the rabbits, the quail, the chickens, the goats, pigs, and sheep all have to be downsized, sold, given away, or harvested. So it's kind of been a mixture of all of those. We are hanging on to our laying hens until until we are for sure out the door, like until we're actually like leaving. Then we'll have a big harvest towards the end, and that will be it for our laying hens. And then I have 42 chicks on order at the feed store out in Alaska. And so we're really taking everything down. So anyway, I want to show you so what we're working on today. Today is the rabbit hutches and a little bit of the barn, while all this stuff is going on in the background with a new roof. It's amazing. Anyway, so let's have a look. All right, guys. So this is our rabbit hutch area. There was a rabbit hutch right where that big pile of manure is. There's the quail there, and there's the one rabbit hutch with like that kind of surprise litter that we got about 3 weeks ago. So we're leaving this one up while we're letting that litter grow out, and we'll have a harvest of them probably later if we don't end up selling them. I really don't know at this point, and honestly I could go either way. Anyway, and then this, so we got rid of one hutch there. There was another hutch like a little bit closer right here on the side of the shed, and then right here is what we used to call the apartments. This is a super janky rabbit hutch that we made out of a bookcase. If you can kind of see, if you just take the picture and then just like turn it on its side, that's what the bookcase used to look like. It was 3 columns with shelves in between, and then we took out the shelves, laid it on its side, and turned it into levels for rabbit hutches. And so we had a big rabbit hutch up top and these 2 small ones down the bottom. And this design was absolutely terrible, mostly because there was no space for waste removal. So basically, excuse me, basically it's got, the wire floor, and it falls down there. And we had these trays that we would put in under here, and the trays did not get all the way to the corners, and bunnies like to poop and pee in the corner of their hutch. And so what it ended up being was this nasty, horrible, mess right in the corners. It spilled out. There was pee always running down into the guy below. So it was just design flaw after design flaw. It just was not working out. It was extremely secure because we had really good doors right here. And I mean, it's like, Bunny Fort Knox, but it was an absolute nightmare trying to keep it clean. And so we used this for probably like a month before I said, I'm done. I'm not using this anymore. And then that's when we built these 2. There was one there and this one here. And these were so much better. I mean, 100% ventilation, nice clean floors. Everything was wire, but we also had room to put in lots of these little, buildings or platforms or whatever. And we did make it very secure. For a while we were actually locking it at night because we had bobcats that would walk along the top here. And I mean, cats are pretty smart. They can start figuring out how to kind of lift things, So we did put locks on them for a while. And then as we kind of got more used to it and realized that, the doors were pretty heavy, we just stopped locking them. We didn't really need to, but it definitely was helpful in the beginning to have something that we could like securely lock these guys up, because they're like little soft, fuzzy flesh bags of food. So Anyway, so yeah, so I wanted to show you guys this thing. So we're taking this down today, and we're just about done with it. All we have to do now is get this support, which is actually screwed into the side of the shed, and I can't get access to it until we move this huge 200-gallon water tank. That's going to be our water tank for our indoor gravity feed water. And in order to move it, we have to drain it because it is super stinking heavy. So we're draining it right now, and it'll take a while, and then we'll get this moved out, get that support taken out, and then we'll take the whole thing, drag it out, and hopefully just burn it or just trash it or something, because it's just a hot mess. Okay guys, so here we are at the barn, and yeah, if you've watched our channel before, you know we have a lot going on at this barn. So this barn was originally a carport, and so you can kind of see behind me here, you can see that it was, I mean, it is a 12 by 20 carport, and it's worked really well for us. It's a fantastic way to get supports and a roof up, and then all we did was added pallets and grape stakes and wire and made the interior of the barn. So this is all just 2x4 construction. Really nothing fancy here, you know, just making a nice area. We were gonna do plywood up top or rafters and make like a storage spot up there, because it is really handy for storage, but we never got around to it, and we didn't really need it anyway. We just stuck our lumber up there kind of across the beams, and it worked just fine. But now that we're taking it down, I'm actually really glad we didn't go through all that extra work just to make it usable up there. So anyway, so everything here that we're taking down is just the walls. So these walls are a combination of pallets and grape stakes. We have a friend who runs a vineyard, and he had all these extra grape stakes that needed to go because they get new ones, I guess, every few years or so. And so we were just out there, and my husband saw all those grape stakes, and he was like, hey, you know, maybe we can do something with those. And actually our friend was telling us he knew somebody who made a grape stake fence, and it was really cool looking. And we said, well, you know, we're building a barn right now, maybe we'll find some room for him or some spot for him. So anyway, we did, for sure, because my husband thought up this idea of putting the grape stakes in vertically with the pallet pieces going horizontally. And what it creates is really heavy, but a very solid wall. And it's free. I mean, we got the pallets for free, or maybe we paid a couple bucks for them at the feed store or something, but you know, definitely not a huge investment of money, but a huge investment of time for sure, because you know, you got to take out all the other ones and then put these stakes in, and then put a board across them to hold them in place. But I mean, these walls are, you know, sturdy. And, you know, when we were starting to get goats, we just didn't know if they were going to go busting through the fence or whatever. And so we just thought sturdy was better. So anyway, so that's the exterior walls, the pallets and the grape stakes. And then the interior walls are all just pallets. We felt pretty comfortable having them, you know, with a lot of good ventilation interior through the walls. But also we want to be able to see everything going on without having to go like inside the stall. And so we were able to have good, strong, steady walls that kind of provided good partitions, especially when we had bucks in here, and you know, bucks don't always get along. And also, as we kind of moved into different things in the barn, we were able to use this stall as a hay crib. So my husband built little slots right here where we stacked planks up, and it held back all this hay and whatever else we were able to gather. And so it was really handy. Also, we made these drying racks up top here that whenever we harvested our own grass off the property, we put the wet green grass in here, and we had 3 different levels, and it would actually dry really well, and then we would dump it right into the hay crib. So it was a really good method, and when we had water, which wasn't very often because California doesn't have a lot of water, we were able to gather quite a bit of grass, but you know, when the water dries up, so does everything else. So anyway, so this barn has been really good and really helpful for what we had in mind, and I'm really glad that we built it the way we did, because it's great to use and it was cheap. I think we spent $1,000 on the carport itself, and then probably less than 200 on everything else between the wood and, you know, free stuff, used stuff, scrap stuff, and then just some hardware and some bolts and latches and things here and there. So, you know, relatively cheap to have a 20 by 12 barn with, I think we had 3 stalls in here at one point, plus 12 bale storage over here. We could stack them up and actually get 12 bales in there. Having all of that for less than $1,500. So it was really helpful, and we loved this barn, but now it's time to take it down. So basically we're salvaging whatever we can. We're gonna leave up the interior framework until we are ready to put the wood away and start, you know, actually like taking it and putting it on trailers and stuff. And then we'll actually probably take this wood as well. Some of it is scrap, some of it is not that great, but some of it is still really good. And, you know, of course we're gonna take it with us. Hey, why not? Anyway, so right now we're just taking down the walls. We've already gotten this section and all of this section done, which is really nice. And we're just gonna keep working at it and hopefully get done at least with the interior walls today. And then we'll just keep plugging away at the exterior walls. And then we have the goats here. So these are my son Porter's goats. He has raised them from, I don't know, from gosh, when they were babies. They were really young. And they're wethers, so they're castrated males. And they're just really sweet goats. And so unfortunately, we're not able to take them with us. Going through Canadian customs is going to be kind of tricky enough with all this stuff and the trailers and papers and all this stuff we're going to have, that we decided not to take the poor goats, which was really sad for my son, because, you know, we had told him that that we would be able to take them because we saw that it was possible on the Canadian Customs website. But what it turned out is that yes, it is possible, but they will have to be in the transport cage or whatever the entire trip, and we won't be able to let them out at all. And that's 6 days, which would just be terrible for these guys because they're used to running and doing and having a bunch of fun. So anyway, so we had a long talk with him, and we decided, you know, to let him choose. And he was so mature and just said, you know, it's going to be really hard to get them through, so let's not. And so it turns out really well, because we're giving them to a friend of ours who has kind of like a ranch resort kind of thing going on, and they wanted to start a petting zoo. And I said, oh my goodness, Porter's goats will be perfect for that. And so actually they're coming this week to come and pick these guys up, and then our poor little son will have to say goodbye to his goats, and they have been his best friends for a really long time. So anyway, so it's going to be sad, but you know, it's a good opportunity for him to decide what makes the most sense. And also, we talked about it some more, and he is going to get a dog when we get to Alaska. A dog of his own. We have, of course, Martha May, and that is her full-time job, laying there, sleeping. She's actually a very sweet girl. She's just always tired, and she just sleeps a lot during the day. But at night, she is a ravenous defender of the liberty and happiness of our livestock. So anyway, and then up here, I don't know if they're here at the barn, but we have our sheep. And they also will not be going with us. We will be selling them at some point, but they're not here. They're somewhere hanging out. Anyway, so there's that. So, of course, all of this begs the question, who's going and who's staying? And that is very easy to answer. We are taking just our dog and some cats, and that's it. And, you know, that's, of course, eliminating or selling or harvesting or whatever all of our other animals. And that has been really hard for me because I think I had kind of tied up a lot of my self-worth in my animals and the farm and how all of it was going. And that was very difficult for me to realize that it would just be impossible and really impractical to take the majority of animals with us. So what it made me kind of do a little introspection and kind of, you know, work through my feelings there and realize that, you know, my my skills, my ability to build, my animal raising skills, all the stuff that I've learned here is really the value of the animals that we have now. Of course, you know, it's always wonderful when you have a lot of animals and you feel like you're doing a good job taking care of them, but really what I've learned and what I've experienced here is the value that I have to take away from this. So it is kind of hard for sure, but at the same time, I know that I can rebuild and we can rebuild and we can do so much more on a property that we own outright and that we don't have a mortgage on and that is off grid and off of government and just off of so many things that we find are kind of stumbling blocks in our ability to progress in this farming life. Anyway, so what we're doing, you know, you've seen the kind of the takedown of some of the structures. We're also taking down, in addition to the rabbits and the quail and the barn for the goats and sheep, we're also taking down my garden sheds and the greenhouse as well. So all of that is either coming with us in parts as, you know, good lumber that we can still use, or corrugated steel for roofing, or just for the greenhouse, we're just taking the frame and we're gonna recycle the cover that goes on it. It is recyclable, which is nice. So anyway, so yeah, we're stripping down quite a bit, and it's definitely a different feeling for me, especially right now. Normally, this is basically springtime, early spring for the foothills where we live, right under Yosemite, in California, and normally this is my time where I've got seedlings in my windowsill and I've got the early stuff already in the ground and I'm already like layering the beds again for the spring and just all this stuff going on. And instead I'm taking down my barns and my garden looks sad and has a few little like sprigs, you know, coming up, but that's about it. So it definitely is a change and I'm okay with it because I know that there is a really amazing adventure ahead of us and it's going to take a little while to get there, but when we are pulling out of this property with trailers loaded and the dog in the back of the truck and the kids all excited, it's going to be a wonderful moment. And I'm, and there's my cat. Oh my gosh. Oh, cat butt. Ew. Anyway, I'm going to be wonderful. I'm going to be really excited for that wonderful moment. But in the meantime, I just kind of have to hang on and do what we can to get all of this done. And, oh, hi, cat. Oh, my gosh. And so anyway, so yeah, so I hope you guys will stick around. We've got many more videos to come. I think the next ones we'll probably do is on the composting toilet question. I've been getting lots of questions on the poo. How does the poo get from inside the house to outside the house and all that? So we'll cover that. And I think it's going to be a pretty short video because it's really simple. But anyway, and then we'll cover other stuff like, you know, what kind of power sources we're going to use and what we're going to do to rebuild our farm. Because this is actually a really exciting time because I get to do over everything. And that sounds like a lot of work, but at the same time, I'm really excited because it means that I get to rethink what I thought would work in the beginning and see what hasn't worked. And you know, if I could go over and do it again, this is what I would do. I get to do that, you know. So I'm actually really excited to rebuild and start over, and it's going to be amazing. Plus, my kids are older now. I'm not building a farm with like a 1-year-old now, so that's really nice because the kids can help a little bit and really get involved. Anyway, ugh, and my cat. Oh my gosh, Clover, why? Anyway, so before my cat smothers me, I will I will say goodbye because we have much more work to do. All right, so